He's the mayor of Los Angeles. He's Eric Garcetti, and he joins us from Lima, Peru. They made it official. The IOC did by handing the Olympics in 2024 to Paris and 2028 to the city of Los Angeles. Mayor, thanks for joining us. How's morale?
So good to be with you. It's amazing. People are so pumped up. U.S., I think, has bid more than any country, and Los Angeles more than any city. And after a long drought, the Summer Games are coming back to America.
Why did you want the Olympics?
You know, I grew up with the Olympics in L.A. in 1984. I was a 13-year-old kid, watched Carl Lewis in the 4x100, set a new world record, kind of watched the whole world come to my town and saw the very best of sports. And it stayed with me all these years. So it was the very first thing I did when I became mayor 4 years ago was write a letter to the United States Olympic Committee saying we wanted to compete. And it's been a long journey, but 4 years later, I hope I can pass on to my daughter what my parents gave to me and seed a whole new generation of American athletes who are excited about being able to compete on their home turf.
What did you learn from 1984 that will help you this time around in 2028?
Well, the city ran really well. Like we had no traffic. So half the people who come up to me in LA say, just can you get the Olympics in 2028 so I can have 17 days with no traffic in LA? But, you know, we took the profits of that. We saved the games when it was on the ropes after Montreal. That city had gone into debt for years. And we made a few $100 million. And we put that back into a legacy, which, you know, spent on like a tennis center in Compton that helped the Williams sisters be discovered. Russell Westbrook was part of a basketball program that got funded from LA 84 funds. So I think a lot of Olympic towns get it wrong, and they want to spend money on fancy trains and new housing and all the things that, you know, often are left either as empty and white elephants afterwards or aren't really about sports. And in LA, we don't have to build anything new for the 2028 games. We've got it all in place. So we can spend the profits we will make and put it back into sports. And I want to make sports basically universally accessible for every kid in every neighborhood in LA for the first time in any big city in America.
What about public transportation?
Well, we've got, luckily not because of the Olympics, but our voters out here in November passed something called Measure M. It's $120 billion to do 15 new rapid transit lines, the most any city's ever done in American history at the same time at once. So we'll have a lot of things the Olympics will benefit from, but we're building it for our city and allowing the Olympics to benefit. Most cities get it wrong and do it backwards, build a bunch of stuff for the Olympics and hope that it serves the city. But we thought about our own needs first and then kind of fit the Olympics around that instead of vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's the key, though, Mayor, because you look at what happened in Rio, you look at what happened in Greece, where you build all of these buildings and then you look at them now and they're in disrepair. To be able to put them in play, keep them in play, or just add to the infrastructure a little bit to, you know, spruce them up in 2028, I think that's really the key. Because I don't know how you feel, but I would love for the Olympics, winter and summer, to almost have semi-permanent homes where you could alternate, every 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is, but you could have rotating sites instead of putting the stress on some of these other economies that can't handle it. Your thoughts on that?
I think that's such a smart idea. And LA, I've always said, we'd be ready to throw the Olympics literally in 2 months, and we're ready in 2 decades. We're not building brand new venues and then hoping that somebody will use them. We're actually asking, you know, the Lakers and the Clippers and where the Galaxy play, can we just have 17 days a decade from now? And so these are active sports facilities that we have. You know, I think cities are dumb to plan something for 17 days, spend billions of dollars, and then wonder if there's a future. LA would certainly be one of those natural hubs if the Olympics ever evolves to that, of having, you know, a handful of places around the world. I know Salt Lake City's now looking, Denver also, but Salt Lake City has all these existing venues that have been continuously used since the 2002 Winter Games. And so, you know, that makes a lot more sense. And I think you'd bring a lot of the global audience back that right now in most cities is saying, we'd love to watch the Olympics, but hell no, we're not going to host it in our city.
He's the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. How important was it to have not one but 2 football teams in town?
Oh, well, I'm a Rams fan till the day I die, so I was excited to get the Rams, and the Chargers are gravy, and my heart goes out to folks in San Diego because I remember as a kid what it was like to lose not just one but 2 teams when the Rams and Raiders left. we always said in LA that the NFL needed us more than we needed them, and we weren't going to be one of those cities that subsidized the stadium. And that was a 20-year, standoff. But ultimately, I think people came to their senses and realized we love football. We're a crazy, mad football town, but we also were going to, wait and do it on our terms because we got important priorities for our public tax dollars. But I'm so excited. My wife's from Indianapolis. We were on the way to Lima for this vote, so I missed the game on Sunday live. But I was doing a little dance on my in-laws in Indianapolis that the Rams aren't just in LA, they're actually winning now, which is great.
Yeah, I didn't think you needed San Diego. I hated seeing the Chargers relocate there, but I understood the Rams. But could you have done with just the Rams in town? Would that have been enough?
Absolutely. And I said that at the time. I said, it's great, and both the Raiders and the Chargers, it would have been nice if they could have, stayed put where they are, because Oakland and San Diego have huge fan bases. There's a big tradition. We lay some claim to a lot of Raiders fans, and I'm glad that the Chargers will build up a fan base, and it really is Southern California. But, I believe in players playing for a long time on teams and teams staying in a city for their lives. That's really what makes it great. Growing up, you can root for the people and the teams without wondering if it's just going to be all about business and where somebody can make a few $100 million more. So we embrace any team that comes. We're certainly happy to have the Chargers in LA, but I think we could have been happy with just one, too.
How long does it take before somebody connects the dots and realizes who your father was and his role with the O.J. Simpson trial? When they hear the name Garcetti, can you kind of see people's minds sort of clicking where you go, okay, I know something's come up here?
Well, I get a couple of reactions. Sometimes they say, "How's your brother?" And I'm like, "Do I really look that old, or does he look that young?" And then it used to be, "Oh, you're the son of Gil Garcetti." My dad, about a year or two ago, said, "Oh, now people come up and say, oh, you're Eric Garcetti's dad." So
that's
I
cool.
guess, it happens to every dad, and the generation switch. But I love my dad. He was an amazing father. He is an amazing man. And I think the renaissance of the OJ stuff. It was actually a good buddy of mine whose brother made the ESPN series, and so he was reaching out and trying to get an interview with my dad because none of the other ones were falling in place. And I told him, look, it's been 20 years. Tell your side of the story, and the rest of the project kind of fell in place. So I'm glad he was able to get that out there.
But you were in your early 20s probably then when this happened?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
How do you process that? Like, what are your friends saying about, how did your dad, not get OJ in prison, or how did he walk free, or like? Yeah, I'm curious what happens when you're 20 years of age. Your friends can be pretty honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I was luckily studying. I was lucky enough to study as a Rhodes Scholar. I was in Oxford when most of it went down. So, and even in Africa, doing some of the research for the academic work I was doing. So I was about as far away from the action, which was a good, peaceful place to be. But we all scratched our heads. But my dad knew. Jimmy Carter was the first guy who told my dad, long before the jury verdict came in, he said, look, they are not going to convict him. And everybody else was confident. And looking back, my dad said Jimmy Carter was the one guy who knew it just wasn't going to happen. But, justice came in a different way. And I think it's been a really great lens for us to look at how far we've come, but still how far we have to go in these kind of look backs at what we've done and where we've come from. As race in America still is a big issue. We made a lot of progress, but we still have a lot of way to go.
Why did Jimmy Carter think OJ would walk?
He just said that it was going to be payback, that there had been rightfully so much injustice to the African American community that a jury. He told my dad this was going to be payback. It wasn't about whether he was guilty or not. It was the symbolism. And it was a profound statement to come from a former president who realized the pain of race relations, the legacy of slavery, the injustices visited upon African American men, the criminal justice system. And OJ certainly wasn't your typical American. He was a celebrity, a great athlete, but it was a symbol, he said, more than looking just at the evidence.
Good luck with this, and you got a lot of time, but boy, you're going to look up and you're going to go, wait, we only got 4 years to go. Now we have 2 years to go. Now it's here. So, but it feels like you got a great game plan there, Eric, and we appreciate you joining us.
We are excited, and I'll put you in contention on the torch relay. I don't know if I can get you to fight the final one, but we'll get you a leg in there, okay?
Now, how many people will be on the torch relay? Because I just had my knee replaced, and I think by 2028 I'll be in shape, though.
Yeah, and it's like Luke Skywalker. You'll probably get an artificial one by then.
Okay, but I'm going to pencil me in Paulie, would you write that down? 2028, the torch run in Los Angeles that the mayor, even if it's for a block, though, Mayor. Is that okay?
You got it. I'll carry you if you need to, all right?
I love that. All right. Thank you, Eric. Safe travels.
Thanks,
all right.
Take good care.
That's the mayor of Los Angeles.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.